Okay, hi everyone. Lar from Complete Test Success here. We have another live stream. Today we're looking at IELTS Speaking, and I'm going to focus on IELTS Speaking Part 1. The previous live stream we had was based on Part 3, so this is Part 1, and the next time we look at speaking in a few weeks will be based on Part 2. So we just keep cycling through them in that way. So the way it works is I will share a link with you. You click on the link, you come in and join me here. I'll ask you a few Part 1 questions and then give you some feedback. Now, whether you come and participate with me here, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching the recording, the idea is just to give you a bit more insight into what the examiner is looking for, the types of mistakes that students and candidates typically make, how to avoid those mistakes. So whether you're going to jump in here with me or not, there's still a lot to learn from this. So to get started, hello, Aman. Aman, I want your help with speaking part 2. Yep, so we'll do that in a few weeks, Aman. Part 1 this week, and then every Thursday I cycle through task 1 for general, task 1 for academic, task 1 for general, task 1 for academic, task 2 speaking, and then I'm doing Q&As on Tuesdays every week as well. But I am moving country. I'm moving back to my home country in 2.5, 3 weeks. So I will not be online for 2 weeks or so till I get settled in, sort out an internet connection and all that type of stuff when I get back. So we won't be looking at speaking part 2 today, but you're definitely welcome to come and join me for part 1. So hello to all of you who've joined. Good to see you all here. So I guess to get started, let me just share the link with you to join. So I'll put it in the comments. Just click on that link and then you come in here with me. You'll need to have your camera on to participate. Okay. So if you look in the comments for this video, you'll find the link there. I've called it link to join me live. So not very creative, but gets the job done nevertheless. Chizaram, hello. Hello to you. Good to see you back here again. Tiny Campo, hello. Welcome to the lesson. Arif, good to see you back here. And Judith, it has been a long time. Judith already got her scores. Did you make it to the UK yet, Judith? Are you over there already? Arif, I'm doing very well. Thank you. Thanks for asking. Busy, getting ready to move countries with my family. Pretty hectic, but exciting times as well. So happy and busy. Okay, so like I said, on Facebook or YouTube, you'll find the link in the comments. Click on that, and then you'll come in, and we'll be able to go through some part 1 questions together. I know a lot of familiar faces here, but just in case, for any of you who are new or for any of you who haven't subscribed already, I have extra lessons for my email subscribers and a bunch of other stuff as well. So if you're not already attending my free live feedback lessons on Zoom, click on that link, subscribe, and then you'll have more support. So they're like Zoom, Zoom, the I don't know how to describe it. What they refer to, video conferencing software. So basically we all come into a platform together and work through some aspect of the IELTS test. I did yesterday we looked at a new question type. So on the live stream on Tuesday, One of the students showed a question they said was from Cambridge General Training IELTS 16, which I hadn't seen before. So we went through that yesterday, and I plan to send that out in my email on Monday. So if you weren't there, I'll still share that with you. Hey, Miriam. Thank you, Arif. Nice of you to say. Judith, I will soon. Waiting for my COS, so God willing, by July, I'll be in the UK. Excellent. Hopefully. Fingers crossed for that now. Hey, Blessing. Okay, so I have Saeed with me here. So let's get Saeed in and go through some questions. Hello, Saeed. Doing very well. Your volume is a little bit low, or maybe it's my volume.
Is it okay now?
Much better. Much better. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing much better. Alhamdulillah.
Good. I think you might need to hold your microphone a bit closer to your mouth.
Okay.
Yes, that's
Is
it
it okay
exactly. Absolutely perfect. Yeah. Where are you from, Saeed?
Well, I'm from Pakistan.
Very good. Are you there now?
Yes.
And what score do you need in speaking?
My desired band is 7.
Okay. And have you booked your test yet?
Yes, I have booked my test for 21st May.
Okay, so about 3.5 weeks or so. All right. So you have enough time to make some improvements. Okay. So we're looking at part 1. I'll ask you 3 or 4 questions, and then I'll have some advice for you. And it'll be mainly telling you what you did wrong. That's how my feedback goes. Very few pats on the back. Okay. So, all right. I'm going to ask you some questions about flowers. Do you like flowers?
Absolutely, I'm a huge fan. I really love flowers, and at the same time, I have a huge collection on my of flowers on my terrace. And especially after getting up early in the morning, I visit there and I uh, put water on them in them, and then that's where yes, I enjoy really flower.
What's your favorite flower?
Well, my favorite flowers is a rosy flower because the fragrance which comes out from them is so good, and like after smelling the flower, after smelling, I feel very active and energetic. So that's why rosy is my most favorite flower.
When was the last time you gave someone flowers?
It's very difficult to remember, but yes, I think just 2 months before, I have to welcome one of my maternal uncle. He was coming from outside of the country, so that's time I remember I offered the flower to them.
Do any flowers have a special meaning in your country?
Yes, again, I would say the rosy flower is most popular in my country. Most of the time, whenever there is some kind of special occasions, like there is birthday party, whenever there is some kinds of religious occasion, even we have to welcome someone. So on that time, these kinds of flower mostly are shared with each other. So this the rosy flower carries the most importance in my country.
Okay, good. And so feedback, like I said, there are things you're doing well, but to help you improve, I'm going to have to point out the things you're doing wrong. Your fluency, for the most part, is fine. I feel like sometimes you use words that you're not very familiar with, and that really slows down your fluency. So it seems like you have vocabulary that you're comfortable with, but when you try to stretch it and try to show off basically with your vocabulary, that ends up hurting your fluency a bit. But besides that, it's good.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
in particular, when you use the word fragrance,
Yes.
it's a great word to use, but I think it really tripped you up. It felt like it took you a while to recover after using that word. Um, and then with your, this is just a point where you were talking about smelling flowers, and you said that you feel very active and energetic after smelling them. Um, is that you trying to give what you think is an IELTS style answer?
Right.
But I'm asking you, is that like, you think that's what, how to answer an IELTS question, or would you say that's generally how you feel from smelling flowers?
Generally, I use these kinds of words whenever I have to explain my feelings,
Yeah,
like because smelling flower stimulates different kinds of hormones into my body, like serotonin, like dopamine. So that's
yeah.
why I feel happy and energetic.
Okay, well that's fine. So, the point that I wanted to make was, like, some students feel that there are some topics that are, you know, great, great topics or great words to use for the IELTS test, but words that they normally would never use. So, like, not necessarily energetic and active, but let's say, like, the word society. You'll find a lot of students, they feel like that's a real IELTS buzzword. So the more you talk about society, the better job you're doing. So there are sometimes, like, you shouldn't just, don't give the answer you think the examiner wants. Give your own real answer. So I was wrong in this occasion. That was your real answer, but I was just worried that that might have been the case. Um, for you, you're making mistakes with plurals and articles a bit. So those be areas of grammar to work on. With pronunciation, your intonation goes up quite a lot. Um, it's pretty typical for people from Pakistan, but not just Pakistan, the surrounding countries, like that whole, like, part of Asia, that surrounding area. So, like, instead of saying absolutely, you say absolutely. So you go way, way up higher than is necessary. But more so when you're answering the IELTS question than when you're talking to me, outside the context of the IELTS question. So maybe it's just, the stress or the pressure of the test making you over exaggerate your intonation. The last thing then is the word rose. You're saying rosy. Um, so there's a letter E at the end, but we don't pronounce it. So it's just rose. Um, so that's all my feedback for you based on that. Do you have any questions for me? Or is there anything you'd like to say?
Yes, I have questions, especially in part one. What should be the length of the answer? Like how many sentences we have to speak in part one question?
So it's less about sentences and more about, like, how much development. So give your answer and always explain it. So answer it and explain it, definitely. And if you have something extra to say, you can say something extra. If you don't, it's okay to stop. So if you can, say something extra. If you can't, just stop. And it's not about how many sentences. So, you might explain your idea in 2 sentences, you might explain it in one, but as long as you've explained it, that's the important thing. So it's more about the content than the number of sentences. Um, one thing to note is, when you, let's say you explain your answer and you start to give more development. Now, it depends on where you are in the test, how far through the number of questions you are, um, how much time is left in the test. But there's a good chance that the examiner will stop you from speaking. So you might be developing your answer, and the examiner will say, "Thank you," and then they'll ask the next question. And that scares a lot of candidates because they're not expecting it. And that kind of messes with their heads, and that affects their performance because they feel like that means you've done something wrong, or your answer was poor, or your score is low. So just, it's not a problem at all. That's just the examiner, like, making sure that they're on time. But if it does happen that you're, further developing your answer and the examiner stops you, don't worry. Just they've stopped you, so stop, and they ask you the next question, so answer the next question. So don't worry if the examiner interrupts you, because that's them doing their job. It doesn't have any reflection on you. Anything else at the moment?
Yes, one more thing, please. The thing is that if how important is that to stay on that question? Like sometime whenever we don't have an idea about the question and we go out of the question, and what is the importance of staying on the question
You
and
absolutely
answering
have
it?
to stay on topic. You absolutely have to, 100% you have to stay on topic. So for your fluency and coherence score, one thing is that you have to be able to develop your ideas,
Right,
and it's how much you're willing to develop your ideas. So, like, if you don't answer and then the examiner has to say why, and push you to develop and explain your ideas, that's a low score. If you develop them but not that much, that's a better score. Um, if you develop them and it's not causing you a lot of like it's not a lot of effort for you to do that, that's a better score. But if you're going off topic, you're not developing the idea, so you're not helping that score. And then there's the chance the examiner, if you're not discussing the exact topic you've been asked to discuss, there's a good chance, because a lot of students do this, a lot of candidates do this, where they'll learn answers, they'll learn things that they're going to say in the test. So before they go into the test, they learn, okay, if I'm asked about social media, I'll say this, and this. If I'm asked about my hometown, I'll say this, and this. So the examiner is watching out for a candidate who will try to say some things that they've memorized.
right,
And basically what happens, if the examiner recognizes that that's what you're doing, they will just completely ignore all the fluency, vocab, grammar, pronunciation. So none of that will count towards your score. Um, so you have to stay on topic. It's very important, for sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're very welcome. And nice to meet you, Saeed.
Nice
Talk
to
to you
meet
again
you
next
too.
time. Take care of yourself.
Goodbye.
Okay. Let's just see if we've any more comments. No, no comments at the moment. I have Stephen with me here. So let's get Stephen in and we'll do another round of questions. Hello,
Yes.
Stephen.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Are you?
Where are you? Where? Good, good, good. Where are you from, Stephen?
I'm from Cameroon, Douala, Cameroon.
Very good. And what score do you need in speaking?
Um, I want to learn more about health and TOEFL because I'm preparing some examination about English language to perform my
I
English.
know, I know nothing about TOEFL.
My country is bilingual. My country,
Yeah,
uh, but yes, no, yes.
I,
So
I,
it's more than 2 weeks to do that.
I get students asking me for help with TOEFL, but I
Discover
can't.
your Facebook
I
page.
simply can't. I'll get students asking me for help with OET or
Okay,
TOEFL from time to time, and I was like, I don't know, so I'm not going to pretend. IELTS is my thing. IELTS, I know inside out. Um, have you found out what score you need in the speaking test?
okay.
So before you do an
Not yet,
IELTS test,
not yet.
this isn't just for you,
I
Stephen.
find
And
your pages. I find your page.
your internet connection's a little bit slow. I
Yeah.
can't hear you very clearly at the moment, Stephen. Maybe if you could go closer to the modem, you might have a better connection. But just for you, Stephen,
Okay.
and for anyone else listening, is like, if you're planning to do the IELTS test, the first thing has to be find out what score you need. So, if you're planning to go to another country, you find out from like the immigration office or whatever agency you're using exactly what score you need. If you're planning to go study abroad, you're going to a university abroad, find out what score that they want from you, and also find out if they want the general training or the academic IELTS test. So that's the first thing. Based on what you're saying, it sounds like you don't know yet, but it's very difficult to prepare for the test if you don't know what scores you need. So like, let's say, like with the students on my speaking course, if they need a band 7, then we'll prepare for the test until they're capable of getting a band 7, and then they'll go and they'll do the test. If they need a band 7.5, we'll continue preparing and getting ready and improving until they can get a 7.5, and then they do the test. But if you don't know what score you need, it's like you don't know when to do the test. So that's important. That's very important. Find out what scores you need, and that will make things a lot more practical. A lot more practical. I'm not sure if your internet
This is your
connection
email address?
This is me, yep. That's my email address there.
Okay.
I'm not
Thank
sure
you
if
very
your
much.
internet can. You're very welcome, Stephen. I'm not sure if your internet connection is strong enough to do some practice questions, but let's try one or two. If the internet connection isn't good enough, we'll just stop, and if it's good enough,
Thank you very much.
good enough, I'll have some feedback for you. Okay, so for you, Stephen, I'm going to ask you some questions about being punctual. Do you think it's important to be on time? Okay, so definitely internet isn't strong enough here. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to take you off for now, Stephen. So, let's see, do I have any other comments here? And I have Miriam waiting. We'll get Miriam in here. Mian de la Vega from Philippines. Hello, Mian. And that's it, just one. And for any of you guys looking to join me, you'll have to go back to earlier on in the comments. There's this link here, link to join me live. Click on that and I'll get you in here and we'll have a quick chat. Miriam? Hello there. Miriam, I'm not sure, are you on? I can't hear anything at the moment. No volume. Afraid not. Can't hear anything at the moment. I can hear a tapping noise. No, afraid not. Can't hear you. So I'll give you a minute. I'll give you a minute to try and get your audio working, and we'll pull you back in again in a second. Okay, maybe you're tagging a friend or possibly a family member. Looks like you got the same surnames. Okay, so as well as the free live feedback lessons on Zoom, so those are free group classes on Zoom every week. I also have paid services, so one-on-one essay corrections, one-on-one practice IELTS speaking tests. I have an IELTS writing course, IELTS speaking course. I have reading and listening support. So let me share that with you here while Miriam gets herself ready. So there in the comments again. So one-on-one corrections, those are speaking tests, essay corrections, and IELTS courses. So if you want to get one-on-one support from me in some capacity, you'll be able to find those services there with that link. Baljinder, thank you, sir. Okay. And again, for anyone looking to join me, just click on that link from near the start. So link to join me live, to join me here right now. Obviously not if you're watching the recording. Okay, Miriam, let's see how you're getting on. Any luck? No? Maybe if you plug out your headphones, or it might be an internet issue. I think that's working.
Yeah, can you
Hello?
hear me now?
I can. Your
Hi,
video
how are
and
you?
your... Very good, thank you, Miriam. Nice to see you in here.
Good, thanks. Yeah.
Where are you from, Miriam?
I'm from South Africa.
And what score do you need for speaking?
7,
Okay.
preferable
And
7.
Okay. Have you booked your test yet?
Yeah, I have taking my test on the 24th of May.
24th of May. Just after Saeed. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a few part 1 questions, and then I'll give you a bit of feedback. So these are the questions that I started Stephen on. So Miriam, now I'm going to ask you some questions about being punctual. Do you think it's important to be on time?
Yes, I think it's very important to be on time. However, I'm not good when it comes to keeping time, but I feel like it's very vital.
How do you feel when others are late?
Well, where I'm working, I'm a store manager, and when somebody is late, I do have issues with that because it kind of like pushes everyone at the back.
And what issues can arise if you're late for an appointment?
Okay, for example, let's say it's an interview. You might end up not being interviewed, or you might actually miss the person maybe who was supposed to interview you. So I feel like it kind of like shifts everything.
And what things can people do to make sure they're punctual?
Okay, for my case, I feel like for me to be punctual, I need to train myself waking early. I feel like when it comes to waking up, I have a serious issue. I sleep a lot. So maybe if I can try and manage my time better, sleep early and wake up as well. That can actually make a big impact.
Thank you. Your internet's starting to go there, but seems I have enough to give you some feedback. Can you hear me at the moment, Miriam? Okay, so there will be a recording of this anyway, so even if you can't hear now, you can listen to the recording. So for you, your fluency score is an issue because you're not really developing your answers enough. It seems like you're, you have a very solid ability, but you're just, I don't know, like maybe are you a bit nervous, or maybe you think you should keep your answers short, but it seems like you're just getting started and then you stop. Now, you don't need very long answers for part 1, but a little bit more, especially for the score you're aiming for, and especially your own ability. So it's a English speaking test, so you have to speak a bit more to show what you're capable of. Sorry, I'm just going to put you on mute here for a second, Miriam, because I can hear my voice coming back. But yeah, so especially your first like 2 or 3 answers were too short. So you did answer and you did explain, but the explanation was very brief and it was kind of an abrupt finish. I was expecting a little bit more, and you would need to develop it a bit more. But you can practice that. Like just go online, search for, like IELTS Speaking Part 1 questions, and just, look at how long your answers are. Even if you recorded yourself you'll see how short they are. If you watch the recording of this, you'll see that they're a bit too short. So a bit more development. And the other thing then, and it's quite common from people from your part of the world, where you don't pronounce the R's. So like instead of working, you say you don't pronounce the R. And that's okay. Like English people with like British accents, they don't pronounce their R's either. So it's not that you have to pronounce your R's, but the problem is you're also kind of changing the vowel beforehand. So for like the word working, you say wa, ah. So you've more of an ah instead of an So it's the wrong vowel combined with the R letter not being pronounced makes those a little bit unclear. So you're talking about working. So you said, I'm not 100% sure if it was exactly this, but something like walking. So without the R and the wrong vowel. And then you're saying like early, like you get up early. So the vowel is but then you're not pronouncing the R. So you're saying like Ali. I can't remember if that's exactly what you said, but something like that. No R sound and changing the vowel beforehand. So often when there's a vowel followed by an R, those are a little bit trickier to understand when you're pronouncing them. But besides that, like you're very, very clear. And it's from the context I can always understand as well. Do you have any questions about that? Or is there anything you wanted to say at the moment?
No. Thank you very much. No questions at the moment.
Okay. So let's leave it there. Nice talking to you. Nice meeting to you. And surely see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you too. See you, Miriam.
Hopefully.
Okay. So let's go back, have another quick look. There's Stephen. Yeah, you're very welcome, Stephen. Pity the internet didn't work out. Hey, Bincy. Seth, wow, that's good. She did well, for sure. Rebecca, Sultana. What is B1 test? And Seth says 5.5 to 6.5. That's B1 test. There are SURF or SEFR levels. Like so they have like beginner, elementary, pre-int, int. So they're the levels, the English levels. Like when you're studying English at school, you'll be put into one of those, like pre-int, int, upper int, pre-advanced, advanced, like all those levels. So that's one system of like categorizing ability in English. Then another system is those levels like A1, A2. I think there's A3, B1, B2, B3, something like that. So they're just different ways of categorizing English ability, and they loosely match with IELTS, like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But they're different systems, so they're loosely connected. But the thing is, like, no, if you need to do the IELTS test, nobody's going to say you need to get a B1 equivalent in the IELTS test. They will tell you you need to get a band 7, you need to get a band 7.5, you need to get an 8. So there shouldn't be any confusion. So if somebody's asking you to do the IELTS test, they will tell you the IELTS score you need. So I'm not sure where this question came from. I don't know why you're asking that, but it seems like there's a confusion between the CEFR and IELTS. And Seth, thanks for jumping in, but I'm not sure. There are tables online, but I don't know the exact table off by heart. Hello, Facebook user. What score would I assign to Miriam? It's difficult to assign in such a short period of time. I was doing a practice IELTS speaking test with a student earlier today, and I had her down for a band 6 in grammar after about the first 5 questions. It was just like article mistake, one after another, just constantly. But I've got to decide on scores for fluency and coherence, vocab, grammar, pronunciation. So like what I'll do is I'll determine what scores I think it is for each category first, and then go back and reconfirm like a second time. So I'll analyze it, and it takes time to do that. So normally, like through part 1, it'll be coming to grips with where they are for each of the 4 scores. I know this isn't the question you asked. I'm explaining why I can't say it takes more time than that. And then I'll come back and I'll kind of confirm, listen to the various, because you can only listen for one thing at a time. So I'll listen for fluency first, then vocab, then grammar, then pronunciation, then go back through them again and see if I need to adjust the original scores that I gave. So it takes time to really narrow it down. But with this student I had this morning, so normally it's very rarely that like my second time round will have changed from my first time round. But this time, so I'd given her a 6 for grammar because all the article mistakes, and then went back during part 2, went back and was listening to the grammar again. No mistakes, nothing. All articles were perfect, perfect, perfect. And that never happens. It never happens that someone will make like countless article mistakes to begin with, and then no article mistakes for the rest. So that one was a bit confusing for me. But again, like I'm saying, like it takes that time to really analyze the scores. So I wouldn't be able to say exactly what Miriam is capable of, but she's got a very good handle on the English language, and I think she was nervous as well, which is very, that's what's going to happen in the real. That's what's going to happen in the real IELTS test. You're going to be nervous. So your fluency can really be hurt by that as well. But I feel like what we saw from Miriam isn't her real ability. It seems like she's capable of more than that. Hello, Deki. And Shah, hello to you. Hello, Shira, welcome. Okay, so a bunch of familiar faces here. Hi, Sadaf. Imran, welcome. Blessing, what do you mean article mistakes? Articles, that part of grammar. So like an, the, 0 articles, like definite article, 0 article, and indefinite. So that's what I was referring to there. Okay, so nobody waiting here at the moment. It seems to be mostly spectators today. Just in case, I'm going to share the link again, and if no one else joins, we'll just finish up a bit earlier than normal. So again, link to join me live. Okay, so there's the link again. I know there more people have joined recently, so if you want to come and have a bit of practice on speaking part 1, just click on this link here, link to join me live. Blessing, you're very welcome. No problem whatsoever. Okay, so Ramandeep has joined me. Just if you get your camera turned on there, and I'll get you in here with me. Okay, so it seems like Ramandeep is having an issue with the camera at the moment. Amjad, hello sir. How are you? Very well, thank you, Amjad. Can you tell me about the live sessions, especially on which days you go live? So I've been doing Tuesdays and Thursdays for the last few weeks, but if you follow my page, my Facebook page, or subscribe to my YouTube channel, you will get notifications, because it's like every Friday. Normally on a Friday, I'll schedule the live lessons, so you'll see the schedules there. So definitely, like if you check over the weekend, you'll see the schedules. I post them in advance. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, just looking at my calendar here, I'll be doing Tuesday and Thursday next week, the week after. So 2 more weeks, and then after that I'll be taking some time off just to get myself back to Ireland and getting settled in a bit. Yep. And then for the live feedback lessons on Zoom, these guys here. So click on that and subscribe, and there's a separate schedule for those. So once you subscribe, you'll see the list of lessons available there as well, and I update those monthly. Okay, I have Dr. Sadaf with me here. Looks like the internet isn't great. Looks like the camera's frozen there. Amjad, good. And like, I'm on Facebook and YouTube, but I don't really say that often. Like, subscribe to my channel, follow my page. I watch a lot of YouTube, like in my spare time, more so than TV. I tend to watch YouTube, and everybody says it. Subscribe to my channel, like my page, click the notifications, all that stuff. But I guess I haven't been doing it long enough. It still feels very unnatural to say those things. So everyone do those things. It just feels weird coming out of my mouth, to be honest. Okay, Sathya has just joined me. Again, Sathya, if you want to just turn on your camera first, and then we'll get you in here. Prakash, sir, why you don't let in to me? I'm not sure. Are you trying to click the link? You're trying to click this one here? I'm certainly not consciously not letting you in. I'm definitely not deciding not to let you in. It must be perhaps your internet issue or a software issue or something. Okay, Dr. Sadaf is back here. Let's get you in.
Yes. Thank
Hello
you.
again.
Good morning. Good
How
morning.
are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Doing good. Keeping busy, as always. Okay, Dr. Sadaf, so we'll just do...
The class yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It was yesterday.
Yeah,
on Wednesday, you usually...
Yeah, we did
You
lesson
did?
Yeah, we did. We looked at task 2 yesterday in the Zoom lessons. Yeah.
Okay, I think so. I have missed it. It was on journal, IELTS done?
Task 2. Task 2 we looked at yesterday.
Yeah. I missed it. Sorry.
You missed it. No problem. No problem at all. Okay, so like I said, we're looking at part 1 today, Doctor. So
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a few questions. So now I'm going to ask you about future plans.
Okay.
No, I'm not. 1 second. Now I'm going to ask you about neighbors.
Okay.
How well do you know the people who live next door to you?
Okay, so, well, that is an interesting question.
Okay, so internet problems here. So I'm gonna remove Dr. Sadaf for now. But even just from those first few words, I do have some feedback based on that. Oh, you're back.
Yeah.
All
I didn't find
I
any
heard
difficulty in connecting with you. I have my internet is quite...
wait. Is it my internet? Is the problem my
Maybe
internet?
I'm not driving. I'm not driving though, but I can very well can see you and can hear you. But
I
I
can
think
hear
so.
you
There's
now again
some...
perfectly. So all I heard was that was an interesting question, and then you went blank. So you want to try again there?
Yeah, why not? Shall I do it again?
I think the internet, there's whatever issues going on, you're freezing a lot on me, I'm afraid. Go one more time. Let's try again.
Okay. I have.
I'm afraid it's not going to work, I'm afraid. Okay, so just the feedback based on that first sentence, that is an interesting question. So that is something that I hear a lot from IELTS candidates and IELTS students. And it basically means I can't think of what to say yet. In most cases, it means I need more time. And I've seen IELTS teachers teach this as a strategy. So they're saying it's a question that you can't think of an answer for. You need to get yourself more time. So you use phrases like, that is an interesting question. But in my mind, the problem with that is if I'm thinking about what phrase will I say to give myself more time, then I'm thinking, what can I say to get more time? Okay, I can use that phrase. That is an interesting question. So now there's more time has passed, but because I've been busy saying that is an interesting question, now I still don't have an answer to the question. So it doesn't give me more time to think of my answer. It just takes more time before I have time to think of my answer. I don't know if that makes sense, but for me, my approach is if you can't think of an answer, wait and think. Don't say something to make the process longer. Say nothing and use that time to actually think about what you want to say. So I know a lot of teachers teach that. I know a lot of students follow that advice, and if it works for you, by all means use it. I mean, if you can speak, if you can say that phrase, that is an interesting question, and at the same time the other part of your brain is working on what ideas you can use, that's great, and do it. But for me, my brain just doesn't work that way, and that's why for my students I give the advice, just stop, give yourself time to think of your answer. When you've thought of your answer, then you give it. So those phrases to buy time, to me, they're not a great approach. Prakash, yes sir, I'm waiting in backstage, but you don't let me in, and I have to leave. Okay, so perhaps your camera was turned off. So I'll need your camera turned on if you want to join me. James, hello James. In speaking part 2, when you've been given a cue card and you feel like you are not familiar with the question, how do you go about it? You have no choice. You have to just do the best you can. I mean, this is basically the reason that you're not going to be familiar with the question is not the topic, because the questions are designed especially so that anybody can answer them. You know, they're not going to ask you something very specific like, you know, explain how a semiconductor works. You know, they're not going to ask you something like that. They're not going to ask you something like you need an engineering degree to answer the question. They're questions about life, the world, experiences, situations that people go through. So it's not going to be the problem that you don't have an answer. Like if they asked you to answer, if you had to answer the question in your own language, that wouldn't be an issue. The issue is generally you don't have the vocabulary to communicate your ideas. That's normally the problem. So if the issue here is that the topic is unfamiliar, it's most likely because it's a topic of vocabulary that you're not comfortable with. And we will all have some topics that are strong, some topics that we're very familiar with, some topics that we can say a lot about and that we can discuss in depth. And then there will be other topics that we don't know a lot about. So, like, you know, if you don't like sport, you probably don't have much vocabulary to discuss sport. So, if you're in the IELTS test and you're asked about sport, you're at a disadvantage compared to if they asked you, you know, about whatever industry you work in, or you know, something that you're very passionate or that you're very interested in. So again, I'm guessing, but just from experience and the number of students that I've helped, it's most likely what you're talking about is an issue with vocabulary, not an issue with the question is outside the realm of your understanding. So that's most likely what we're looking at here. Prakash, my exam is on the 7th. Okay. You're more than welcome. I mean, I have 10 minutes left. If you want to jump in, we can go now. But just make sure your camera is on. But I didn't see your name. I didn't see your name in here, unless you wrote a different name after joining. But anyone who had their camera on, I spoke to already. Sadaf, so you think fillers are not appreciated enough to be used? I think that they don't help you think of your answer. So I mean, you're not going to get an increase in your vocab or your grammar score for saying that's an interesting question. So Dr. Sadaf was just here, and I was commenting on that, the phrase "that's an interesting question." So it's not going to help. It's not going to help your vocab or grammar score, and it's not going to, in my mind, it's not going to help you improve your answer, because you haven't really given yourself more time to think. So you've had a little bit of time to think, then you've said this phrase, and then you have to think again. So instead of having the phrase, just take the bits of time you had to think from either end and put them together and give yourself as much time as you need. Why don't you use Zoom for interactive sessions? They don't cross over. Zoom doesn't connect with Facebook and YouTube. Sujan, my exam is on May 22nd. Could you help me, please? Yeah, absolutely. You want to come? I probably don't have time right now, but if you want to join my live sessions, join my... No, I won't have time for that right now. I have essay corrections, practice speaking tests. I have IELTS courses. I have free lessons on Zoom. Those are group classes. The one-on-one support is that link that I already showed you. These ones, one-on-one corrections and IELTS, my IELTS courses. So yeah, if you're not sure what you're looking for, there's the email address, my email address. You can reach out there. But yeah, May 22nd that's quite a bit of time. 3 weeks. I've helped students get their scores in a lot less time than that, but it just depends where you're starting as well. Like I've helped students in less than a week who've had the English ability, and I've had other students who, they had massive holes in their grammar knowledge, didn't have enough vocab. So generally where the time goes, why it would take longer is, if I'm pointing out your grammar is a band 5 and you need a band 7, of course that's going to take longer. If you've already got grammar band 7 and vocab band 7, then it's just a matter of putting all the pieces together, explaining what to do and giving you feedback, showing you what you're doing wrong, showing you how to improve. But I mean, either way, I can help, but it just depends where you are and what score you need. So if you're very far from your score, we need more time to improve. Hello, Hakima. Thank you. Thanks very much. Okay, so I think we'll finish up there today. And just once more, let me share the live feedback lessons. So if you haven't already registered, I have free live feedback lessons on Zoom for my email subscribers every week, as well as these live streams on YouTube and Facebook. So click on that link and subscribe, and then I'll have more interaction with you again. Okay, so that's it for today. Take care of yourselves, everybody. Best of luck in the test. If I don't see you before your test is coming up. And yeah, talk to you next time.